Okay, let's get to part 2 of the conversation that I began a couple of days ago about Michelle Collins. If you weren't with us, I was giving my view on her whiny, complaining Instagram live, okay? Listen, I could understand if Michelle Collins was 25 years old. I might not say anything if she was even 35. But when a woman is knocking on 50, almost 50 years of age, she shouldn't be still whining and complaining about something that happened 10 to 11 years ago. It shows an inability to let go and move on in life, but it also, for Michelle, has more to do with regret than anything else. And out of all the human emotions, psychologists tell us the one emotion that will linger for years is one called regret. And that's exactly what all of her, all over these 10 to 11 years is what it's all about. She regrets what she did, the thing she did that she never ever tells anybody. But I'm going to tell you today. And matter of fact, shout out to Ramin Satuda because he told us first, okay? I'm going to also mention some names, some last names of some people because I'm going to pick it up in Ramin's storytelling in the middle. So remember, if you don't know who they are, just do a quick Google search and you will get the answers that you need. The real reason that Michelle Collins has never ever been on The View since she was fired in 2016 is because in essence, she was banned from the set and she knows that. And the truth is, Michelle Collins provided very little value to The View when she was there, meaning her appearances, that didn't cause the ratings to go out the roof. People weren't clamoring to turn on their televisions because she was on there. People wouldn't say, if Michelle is not on there, I'm never going to watch. But they would definitely say that about Whoopi. They definitely say that about Joy. And I could go through the line. So the truth of the matter is she was banned. Now I'm going to read something to you. So take a listen to this. Now, y'all know I love dramatic reading. I can't say I'm going to go all the way there today, but who knows? I might just get a little bit of energy mid-read. Remember, don't know who they are? Just Google it. Let's go. This is what Ramin Satuda says in his book, Ladies Who Punch, the Explosive Inside Story of The View, the hardback version. He says, over the July 4th weekend in 2015, I broke the news that ABC executives were thinking about cutting both Nicole and Rosie Perez. This time, there was no reversing their decision. Rosie rang me and said, "We got fucking fired in Variety," Nicole recalled. I was like, what? So I called Barbara Fedita and I'm like, did we just get fired? Fedita, who served as Sherwood's eyes on the East Coast, wouldn't tell Nicole what was going on. Shouldn't you have called me? Nicole wanted to know. I mean, she was really mealy-mouthed about everything, and that was the only conversation I had with anyone in management. My agent couldn't even get an answer. Nicole didn't have any regrets about doing the show. Spending a year there was like when I was in high school and went abroad. It enriched me in every way. It expanded my horizons. Doing television in front of a live audience actually retrains you. She saw her stock rise at NBC while covering the election on the show, and she eventually got her own afternoon show on MSNBC. Now here we're getting to it. Then Wolf announced he was exiting to be the executive producer of Chelsea's Netflix streaming talk show from comedian Chelsea Handler. He didn't last, though, through the end of the show's first season. He wasn't the right fit, Chelsea told me. Since ABC was starting from scratch again on The View, they decided to throw everything at the wall for season 19 to see what would stick. They unveiled a cluster of new co-hosts: Raven Simone, the former Disney Channel star, Michelle Collins, a comedian, and Candace Cameron Bure, a Tanner on Full House. But her schedule made her a part-time host as she lived in Los Angeles, where she continued shooting Fuller House for Netflix. To round out the panel, James Golston asked GMA Weekend co-anchor Paula Ferris to take a seat at the table. Farrah, who'd been a staple at ABC News, worried that The View would hurt her career. It did. Whoopi thought she was boring at the table. She's not a journalist, Whoopi would say. Barbara Walters was a journalist. Other than that, Golston didn't want much to do with The View. He let Barbara Fedita, who had previously worked at CBS News, run it. Sherwood, not knowing who could manage the day-to-day operations, needed some executives with daytime experience. The show took on Hillary Etsy McLaughlin as a consultant. McLaughlin, who had been the second executive producer of The Rosie O'Donnell Show, had hit a rut in her career. She'd been at CBS trying to launch a View-like hit spinoff knockoff that never made it past a pilot, with a panel that included Jerry O'Connell and his wife, Rebecca. The new executive producer would be Candy Carter, who had worked on Oprah, but she'd never been the one in charge. As all these pieces were being assembled, McLaughlin decided that the show needed to re-sign Joy Behar as the sixth co-host of this rotating panel. It was a mistake to get rid of me, Joy told me. They begged me to come back. First, I wasn't interested. I was in Provincetown with my husband, minding my own beeswax. McLaughlin sweetened the gig. She offered Joy the role of moderator on Fridays. Drama had a way of finding the view, regardless of who was at the table. No sooner had the season started than Michelle became the subject of an unpleasant controversy when she made fun of Republican president candidate Carly Fiorina's face. It became a scandal in conservative America. Now here's what Michelle leaves out that happened. A network executive had to visit Michelle's dressing room to ask her to apologize. Instead of apologizing, she blamed Joy for setting up the joke that Michelle bungled. Joy and Michelle came to dislike each other as the two comics on The View. Michelle had barely started as a regular co-host when the network decided that she'd been a bad hire. A few months later, they reduced her appearances. Then they fired her in June of 2016. Now, had Michelle, when the executive came into her dressing room and asked her to apologize, which she did later apologize on air. I mean, that was the only way she can keep her job, okay? We saw that in real time. But when that executive went to her dressing room and called her on the carpet and told her she would need to apologize, instead of her taking ownership and saying she would, she started in blaming Joy. And of course, that got back to Joy, and Joy never liked Michelle from that moment on. And the truth is, Joy has been there all these years, and up until season 19, Joy had been there, less her firing, 16, 17 years? So the truth is, do you really think, not you. So listen, listener, don't take that personally. I'm just speaking matter-of-factly, okay? I'm talking about the proverbial you. Why would anyone think you just got hired there? Okay, they come through that terrible panel that they had, where they had the lowest ratings in the history of the show, with that Rosie Perez, Nicole Wallace, Whoopi, and I forgot whoever else was there at table. So now they're starting fresh in season 19 with a bunch of new people. And before the show can even get off the ground good for that season 19, you already start a controversy by making fun of someone's face. And then when they call you on it, you blame a woman who's been there for basically most of the show. Who else were they going to get rid of, Joy or her? Of course, her. And for as long as Joy is there, Michelle Collins will never be there. Michelle knows that. And as I said at the top, the real reason that Michelle can't let this go is because she regrets that. She wishes that she would have done something different. What should have happened is when that executive rolled in her dressing room and talked to her about it, she should have taken ownership. She should have said, I am so sorry. Yeah, she shouldn't have even mentioned Joy's name, but she tattled on Joy. And y'all know, Joy probably did set her up with the joke. But even if she did, I don't think Michelle was at the time, because she was younger, wise enough to know you never, ever come against someone who's been there longer than you. You have to just take the L because you're thinking about the long haul. If you take the L now, you could be on this show for years. That could parlay into multiple speaking engagements, like all the women do speaking engagements now. You could start businesses. You could write books that you will then be able to promote on the show. You could go off and do your comedy and promote that on the show. I don't think she was thinking long term in the moment. I think she was just trying to get the heat off herself. And she wasn't there long, as Ramin recounts, before this started. The controversy started. I really think Michelle got a big head when she got that job on The View, because she had come there. She had guest co-host because they were trying to find somebody, right? And it wasn't just her. There were tons of women who were rotating in guest co-hosting. And Michelle was funny. She had a brand of humor, that the audience generally liked. I mean, she was different from Joy's humor. She was different from Whoopi's humor. And, she was different. She looked different. She was extremely tall. I mean, she was just, your out of the box type of woman in so many ways. And people love that. But she just was not a good fit for the show because she didn't know how to fit in without, the whole thing. So that's the truth, guys. That's why when she blabbed to the executives, I think from that moment on, she's been banned and they're not going to have her there. Joy is not, wait a minute. One of the things we've learned about Joy, Joy has said this on Behind the Table podcast. Brian Teta has said it too. Joy don't like nobody intercepting a joke. She don't like nobody being funnier than her. And sure, Joy should grow up too, and she shouldn't be that way, but she is. And again, the show had been on the air at this time for 19 years. Joy had been there since Giddy Up. So it just wasn't going to work out for Michelle either way. So I know that Michelle, as I get ready to let you go, she regrets what she did. But here's the thing, y'all. All of us, including me, we have decisions and things we've done on jobs that we regret, but we can never go back into the past. All we can do is learn from our mistake or learn from our bad decision and just do something different in the future. Michelle keeps wanting a stab at it again, and I think that's the trap of regret. Regret is a normal human emotion that all of us will experience. The older and wiser you get, you do experience less regret because you learn to do what Will Smith said, fuck it and just jump. You learn to just go for it. You learn to shut your mouth. You learned all the things, the skills that you need to be successful. And I will tell you, very often when people get trapped in regret, it's because they want to go back. They want to go back to the first marriage and redo it instead of going to another marriage. They want to go back to the job. They want to go back. If their kids are adults, they wish they could redo what the raising of their kids is like that was 50 years ago. The kids are grown now with their own kids. You can never redo the childhood. So you have to apologize for it, be genuinely sorry for it, be remorseful for it, and just do something different now. That's all that a person can do. And that is the root of Michelle's, incessant over the years, Instagram posts and all of that. And she keeps saying, I've just been such a good girl. You were not a good girl, okay? When you sat at that table, it went to your head and she started causing problems. But I'm going to tell y'all something. I tend to believe because Michelle has not, truly had a successful gig since the show, okay? I tend to think Michelle may not be the best employee. I don't know, I don't know. How successful are her comedy shows? I don't know. At the end of the day, though, it's over. She needs to let it go and move on. And I also think what would have helped here over all these years is if she would have apologized to Joy. And who knows, maybe she tried to, but was it right after the event or was it years later? Or did she wait until she got fired to try to apologize to Joy? The next time Michelle talks about this, why doesn't she take a different tact? Seeing as she is almost 50, why don't she take ownership? Why don't she just say, you know what? I hate that I blame Joy for that. I should have taken responsibility and let that get back to The View. Let that kind of talk get back to The View instead of all the whining and complaining. And who knows? Joy's not going to be on this show forever. Listen, she is 83 and she's about to be knocking on 84 in a few months. And Joy has a whole life outside this show. She's got her play. She's got, all the things. She's in class. She's traveling abroad for writing classes. She's not going to be there forever. And so if Michelle starts changing the way she speaks about her experience over there, when she talks about Joy, just maybe they will bring her back, or something to that effect. But as long as Joy's there, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I'll talk to you on the next one.